Okay, we'll reconvene. It's Thursday, December 14th, 2023, Ross Board of Education meeting. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Dr. Kunkel, could you please review the agenda?
Yeah, some highlights under the superintendent section. We have the support staff handbook for your approval tonight. There is an overnight field trip, I believe, for the wrestling team, and some personnel items for your approval. Just a note, there is a tech contract through Butler Tech to provide some tech support for our media specialist. Once we hire our middle school specialist, we can train them, that contract will go away. So it's just kind of a gap until we can get our media specialist trained. Elda and Morgan, the media specialists will open up. They'll be back in their office or in their media center when we come back from January. So again, that's just a short-term contract to get us caught up. So Steve will go over the treasure section.
Yeah, we have a pretty standard agenda tonight with 4 items. We do have a couple donations, our investment reports, treasurer's report, including a cash summary and a general fund report. And we do have one then and now that was an invoice that just didn't make its way to our office a couple months ago. So we had a purchase order in place for it. It just didn't make it over in time.
Would anybody like to isolate anything for the superintendent section or the treasurer section? No? Nope. Okay, with that being said, can we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel, can we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Hayes? Mr. Castlery, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder?
Yes.
Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Yes. Moving on to number 5, the approval and correction of minutes, November 16, 2023. Could we have a motion to approve those minutes, please?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel, can we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Hayes? Mr. Castlery, could you call the roll?
Yes. Mrs. Webb?
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder?
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes?
Yes.
Mr. Chanel?
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Okay, we'll move on to number 6.
Mr. Van Winkle?
Oh, yes, yep. Kentucky's not even on tonight either. I'm just trying to- We'll move on to number 6. We have a legislative report. Amy Webb has a couple updates, I think.
Yeah,
wants to go through?
Yeah, just a couple things. Couple things more recent than not. But going back to, we had this discussion, I think in past meetings, but with AED. This was passed in the House back in the summer. Don't know when it's going to go to the Senate for a vote, but just to require the placement of automated external defibrillators in public and non-public institutions throughout the state. On Halloween, this is in the committee hearings in the House Transportation Committee, to require school buses to have restraining devices installed within the next 5 years. So have seatbelts on buses, possibly, depending on where that goes. And then just last night, House Bill 68 passed in the Senate. It passed in the House, I think, back in June, which bans gender-affirming care for minors and also biological males to participate in female sports. So the governor has 10 days to decide whether or not to veto that or to sign it into law. That is all I have.
The AED, just talking about that just real quick, Amy. The Safety Committee, I believe, put something together for the district that Mr. Beck gave to me to disperse to all the youth coaches. And one of the things was like where the AEDs were. You know, I think that's a good start. Eventually, maybe the youth coaches can get a little bit more training on it, but at least knowing where it is. And I think it was like an 18-page, do you remember or not? It's like an
Yeah, it's something
18-page
we've
thing.
been, it's something that the
working on
committee's
it.
worked on over the last several years.
So
and
I
it's kinda
shared that with
continued to
all of the
grow.
youth basketball coaches. So that's something maybe in the future.
We did also get a grant a couple months ago to purchase another AED that's going to be used. It'll actually be cased outside by the baseball and softball fields. That was
Yeah.
kind of an area that we were lacking. Normally, the trainer's out there with the
Right.
portable, but now we'll have one out there for baseball, softball, and also that's where youth football practices as
Yeah.
well, so they would have access to it.
It's a great idea. Okay, we'll move on to, anybody have anything for Mrs. Webb? Nope. We'll move on to Mr. Kleinfelder.
No report because the meeting's next week.
Next week, yep.
I will make a comment. I did go with Butler Tech to the ACTE conference in Phoenix, and AI is real. It's something we're going to have to deal with. I had the pleasure of riding probably 4 or 5 times in an autonomous driven Uber, Waymo. Took us a couple different trips from the convention center out to Scottsdale. No driver, drove 13 miles, all on city streets, passing cars, changing lanes, right turn on red,
I couldn't do it.
the whole 9 yards. Probably was a better driver than the cab driver we had from the airport to the hotel the first time. And first 4 or 5 minutes, you're kind of freaked out by it. After that, it wasn't like anything. You didn't even think about it. We were ordering it up all the time. It was actually cheaper than a regular Uber. Unbelievable.
What was
So
that called?
AI is coming. This company is operating it in.
What was
4
it, what's the
cities
car
right-
called again?
Waymo.
Waymo. He
It's,
showed me video. I
the
couldn't
old
believe it.
Google car, they bought that, the rights to that. It's got a radar thing on top of it, it's got a screen inside, won't move until you buckle your seatbelt. It'll say, "Welcome, Keith." Press start, shows every pedestrian, every car in 300 feet in every direction of it. It's all the cones on where they had streets blocked off for certain things. I mean, it was unbelievable.
That's awesome.
And so, some days cars are gonna drive themselves everywhere.
Yeah, can't wait.
Never thought it would be, but it was really interesting.
Wow,
So,
That's awesome.
next month I'll do the other report.
I hope you had fun in Phoenix. I'm kind of glad you got sick on the way home, though.
Airplane, I think I got a little cold bug and was sick for a couple days, so.
Yeah. Good. We'll move on to number 8, I'm sorry,
Problem
yeah,
with being
8.
combined
Do we have any public
did not.
participation? Nope. So we'll move on to 9. Dr. Kunkel, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir, just the 4 items, A through D. Would like to block those together for one vote.
Can we have a motion to vote A through D under superintendent's recommendation? Can we have first, please?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel, can we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Hayes, could you please call the roll, Mr. Castaner?
Yes, Mr. Chanel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder,
Yes,
Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle.
Yes. We'll move on to treasurer's reports and recommendations. Mr. Castaner, the floor is yours.
Would also like to block letters A through D together for one vote.
A through E,
Sorry.
D.
there's no,
A through D.
A through D.
Okay, can we have a motion, A through D, under treasurer's reports and recommendations?
Motion.
Mr. Chanel, can we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Hayes? Mr. Castaner, could you please call the roll?
Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder,
yes,
Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Chanel,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle.
Yes. Okay, we'll move on to the board comments. Dr. Kleinfelder, hold
He
on.
is a doctor.
Doctor or something. Mr. Kleinfelder, do you have any remarks, please?
Yeah, just a couple
Please
things,
keep it to 3 and 5 minutes, please. 3 to 5 minutes.
congratulations on almost completing the last meeting of your careers, Andy, Sean, and Heather. I know there's a lot going on over the time. Chad alluded to a lot of it, and the more he talked, I thought, yeah, there was a lot going on. 3 failed levies and changing stuff, and new medical insurance, all that. So glad that's behind and hopefully go on. I don't know who's going to make the first and the seconds every meeting unless one of the new people want to jump in real quick. Good at that. And then I believe, wasn't today one of our custodians' last days?
Larry,
Mr.
yes.
Hayes.
Yeah,
Hayes,
Larry Hayes.
custodian, his last day, so congrats to Larry, and hope he enjoys retirement. I'm sure he'll be fishing on his pontoon boat as often as he can. So that's all I have.
Mrs. Webb?
Okay, so this is a little cheesy, I'm just going to tell you now. And speaking of AI, there's a tool I've been playing around with called Magic School. And I asked it to help me write a poem to, it was the night before Christmas, and I thought it was suiting because it's December. And this only encompasses like a microcosm of everything that you all have, you know, been a part of the last few years. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna read it. I know, like I said, it sounds cheesy, but it says, "'Twas the last school board meeting, and all through the town, the outgoing members were bidding farewell with a frown. Their service to the Ross community we wish to commend. For their dedication and hard work we extend. Outgoing school board members, we must say thank you for the countless hours and the work that you do. Through challenges like COVID, you never back down, keeping our students safe, turning their frowns. Levy campaigns and collective bargaining as well, your skills and expertise we could always tell. Negotiating contracts, ensuring our schools thrive, managing financials, keeping budgets alive. Navigating legislation, juggling policies, engaging our community with open door policies. Advocating for safety, our children first and foremost, your dedication to their well-being we toast. The new bus garage and upgrades we've seen, superintendents and treasurers who've made the scene. Their leadership and guidance shaping the way for a brighter future where students can play. And now we stand here filled with gratitude for the impact you've made with each attitude. The Ross Intermediate School forever will hold dear with memories and friendships that will persevere. 'Twas the last school board meeting, a time to reflect on the efforts and progress we must not forget. Thank you for your service to the Ross community. We're grateful for your commitment so full of unity. So let's raise a cheer for the outgoing board for leaving a legacy that cannot be ignored. The Ross community stands strong because of all you've done. Thank you for your service. May your new chapter be fun.
That was good.
Well done.
That was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy.
Ms. Hayes, I'll let you follow that.
I worked today and I kept thinking of all the like controversial or bad things or negative things that have happened, and I think I didn't want to think of that, and I just say that you guys have, thank you for this, and my table partner, our partner in crime. So I just thank you for serving our community, and it's been a pleasure.
Mr. Schnell?
Yeah, first comment on a couple of the approvals we had tonight, and just excited for, I know the new boys soccer coach and girls soccer coach personally, and I think they're both great hires for the district and be great for our kids. So it's coming to that first. And then secondly, just want to thank all of you. Can't do it in rhyme, but it's been a up and down 4 years, a lot of great things, made a lot of improvements. I learned a lot from each one of you all, so thanks for that. I also feel like leaving with the district in good hands. We had, in my 4 years, we had 4 treasurers, so I think Steve's got the job down, and hopefully he's here for a long time. And Dr. Conkle, excited to have you finish out your career here.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you. I just kind of put some notes, just some highlights, kind of like what Heather said. I'm trying to just think of all the positive things. You know, we did the turf field project, the Ross Intermediate building for 4th and 5th graders, which is allowed all-day kindergarten, which is great for the community. How the board and superintendent handled the global pandemic, basically making it, we were like one of the only schools that really, I think, handled it the appropriate way and allowed parental choice for that. Maneuvering through 3 failed levies, although that's a negative, but I think it brought out the best in a lot of different leaders. And the main thing was we informed our community of our finances, so I thought that was really good. You want to leave the place better than when you took over, and like Mr. Schnell pointed out, we went through 4 treasurers. And I can honestly say we kind of got better every single time. We were maneuvering through those, but thanks to Andy especially because of being creative, of even getting Steve stepping towards that role as well. Thank you to all the staff, amazing staff that we have, the teachers and building leaders and so on and so forth. Thank you to the past and present board members, Dr. Webster, who I leaned on a ton early in my career as far as serving and talking to him. And I thought it would be best if I said this, but I want to welcome the 3 new board members. I emailed all 3 of them, wished them the absolute best, and told them I promised them they're not walking into a hornet's nest like what it could be, and that the financial situation is way different. The county auditor has blessed the district in that way, and I don't know all of them personally, but I do feel that their heart's in the right place in serving the community. I really do. I want to leave you with a quote. I was thinking about the Bobby Knight quote, but I probably don't think that would be appropriate for me to talk about my critics and stuff, but with what we went through, I almost wanted to say it. But I did say this to the incoming board members, and I think it's important. It said, the quote is, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." And so, I think that's a very good quote for the incoming board members and for what Heather's done and what Andy's done as well. So with that being said, we have a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion.
Mr. Chanel, do we have a second?
Second. My
Mrs.
last
Hayes?
one.
Could
All
you
right.
please call the roll?
Mr. Chanel,
Yes.
Mrs. Hayes,
Yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder,
Yeah.
Mrs. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Van Winkle.
No.
Still carries.
Motion still carries.
I think that's the first no